What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here. Wrestling Inc. podcast. It's May 30th. I'm here with Vince Russo. How you doing, Vince?
I'm doing all right, Sean. How are you?
I just watched Raw. How do you think I'm doing?
I don't know, bro. It's like, I'm trying to stay on Twitter during Raw, but it's like, bro, what do you say about anything? Like, it's just like, it is what it is, man. It's like, what do you say? It is what it is, man.
I'll say this. I only had one person say, why are you being so negative? Usually that happens about a half a dozen times if we're negative. And I've said this about a million times. It's a 3-hour show. There are going to be negatives and positives in every show. By the way, this show brought to you by ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc and trendybutler.com. It's Memorial Day, so some people are going to be out doing stuff anyway. But you also have a big hockey game and a huge NBA game, Western Conference Finals, Game 7. It seemed like the creative team took the Memorial Day holiday off, Vince.
No, I don't think so, bro, because the show pretty much sucks every week. So I'll be honest with you. So there was nothing less sucky this week than last week or the week before that. So it's not the creative team. It's a 70-year-old man. Vince has lost his touch, and I've said it over and over and over again. Listen, man, I'm 55. Vince is 15 years older than me, and I know at 55 years old, man, I could tell you right now, I am not as sharp as I used to be, and I look that right in the eye. Age catches up with all of us. There's nobody to blame but him. Wrestling has passed him by. Television has passed him by. Entertainment has passed him by. So I don't care if it was Memorial Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving. The show sucked as much this night as it does every single week. So I'm not going to use that as an excuse.
We haven't spoken to you since the announcement was revealed that SmackDown would go live starting in July. There will be a brand extension. They said that there will be unique casts to each show. How do you feel about that, especially after seeing what we saw tonight, knowing that in under 2 months, the assets in which they can utilize will be split in half?
Bro, their show sucks. The creative sucks. Vince sucks. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I'm happy about the split because from a selfish point of view, with everything I got going on with Podcast One and the Realm Network and 5 shows a week, and Sean, you do more than that, at least it gives us something more to talk about. So, from that point of view, I'm thrilled to death. If you give me more fodder, I'm happy about that. So I'm happy that we'll have more to talk about. But, you got one show that sucks, and you're going to split that show down the middle, so you're going to have 2 shows that sucks. It's not difficult math. It is what it is.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you still haven't watched the Conor McGregor videos I sent you.
No, I haven't, bro.
But he told a man it's – the term I'll use is it's red panty night for us in the broadcasting business. He says that whenever you fight Conor McGregor, you call up your wife and you say, "We've done it. We're rich. Break out the red panties." It's red panty night for us in the broadcast business because we get another major show to talk about, and that's more money for us. But as far as it goes for the quality of these shows, I don't know. Personally, if I were WWE, I would have said, "Hey, USA, maybe throw us a bone here. It's pretty expensive to run SmackDown live on Tuesdays. We don't have to take more money from you, but please let us get rid of one of these hours on Monday."
Well, Sean, I don't even understand why it's live. They're not doing anything. It's not like surprises would be ruined on the internet. They don't do anything, bro. So, what is the point of it being live? Nothing happens.
And SmackDown is DVR'd at a much less frequent rate than Raw.
It just doesn't make sense to me. If this was, again, the Attitude Era, runaway TV, unpredictability, swerve here, there, and everywhere, and you couldn't miss it, I get it. There's no reason to be live. There's nothing happening on these shows.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I will reserve judgment because, we don't know what will happen with the likes of the NXT talents. And there are some interesting names there. I don't know. Actually, I'll be going to, I think, the last live event that NXT is doing before this brand split. So that'll be very interesting to see where it all goes from there. But they really are a victim. They're a victim of their own booking. Everyone has been made to look mediocre to below average. And because of that, you have a 6-man tag as a main event that was, just fine in the ring. I have no complaints in the ring. But why are we supposed to really care about a lot of these people?
Well, Sean, think about this. Think about how this is like absolutely retarded. I mean, this is just I can't even begin to try to make sense out of this. This is how we get AJ Styles ready for John Cena's big return.
Oh, gosh.
Jericho beats him. Roman Reigns beats him. And Kevin Owens beats him. That's how we get AJ Styles ready for John. It's like, are you out of your mind? Like, that's how you book? That's how you get AJ Styles ready for Cena. You have 3 other guys beat him in succession. I like how do I sit here? I'd love to talk to my buddy Road Dogg and say, Road Dogg, buddy, oh pal of mine, how do I make excuses for Vince McMahon over that? What excuse am I making for Vince that AJ Styles has lost 3 programs in a row? Now we're supposed to care about AJ Styles and John Cena? I mean, come on, bro. Like it's piss poor.
And fortunately for the WWE, AJ Styles is over to a point to where it might be salvageable. But we'll get to that. Really, I very rarely let emotions get into this, but I was kind of pissed off that I had to watch this first hour and a half of the show. It was like a 90-minute version of WWE Main Event on the network. That's really all it was. It was nothing special at all. We had Shane and Stephanie come out, and they talked about the brand extension. New Day came out and asked some questions. That was kind of cute, whatever. The Vaudevillains interrupted when Stephanie McMahon was going to dance, so we got Vaudevillains versus the New Day. There's really nothing to talk about in this match, but afterwards, Gallows and Anderson attacked. Keep in mind, I think they have won 3 of their 10 televised matches. Now, not necessarily just as a team between those two, but since these guys have been brought up with all the hype that happened, there was some hype behind them showing up. And they won, I think, 3 out of their 10 matches. And now they're in a tag team title program. Meanwhile, the Vaudevillains were just like, yeah, here, take our tag title program. See ya. Exit stage left. I don't know. And I will say this. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows, outside of the traditional wrestling perspective, they're so entertaining. These 2 guys are some of the most colorful personalities in wrestling, but I know that they will never get that opportunity to show that side, at least for quite a while, because really their personalities in that way are too much like New Day. And you don't want 2 of that act going on. But this is our tag title program. How do you feel about Anderson and Gallows being inserted into that role?
Well, again, bro, listen, for the last 45 years since I can remember watching wrestling, I was brought up that how you get a heel over is, they win, and then they face the champion. That's how you get a heel over. Guy, like you said, bro, they've won 3 out of 10 matches. Okay, so how are they a threat? If I do the math and they've won 30% of the time, how are they a threat? I don't care, bro. Like I don't care. I just don't care.
Isn't it amazing that by all means, the most hated person on that show is probably Roman Reigns. And one of the reasons why he's hated so much is because he wins and wins and wins and wins and wins. That's how you book a heel.
Yep.
If you want a heel, there you go. Why not do that with a team? I don't know. We see Big Show giving Apollo Crews some advice backstage. Big Show on the program. No Sheamus. I assume that Sheamus is doing some Ninja Turtles promotion, something like that, because he's in that movie. Nothing really to talk about here. But as if starting off on that hot streak wasn't enough, the Golden Truth are out to do commentary. We get Tyler Breeze and Fandango against the Usos. So we have a program. It's the Golden Truth, whose gimmick are that they can't win together, against Tyler Breeze and Fandango, who just lost. Now, I'll say this. Tyler Breeze didn't get pinned. This is 5 straight television matches in which he hasn't been pinned. That's got to be a record.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you're paying attention because I'm sure as hell not.
Well, the Usos won, and there's really nothing that is worthy of us speaking about,
no, nothing.
or you, the viewer, hearing about.
No, it's a waste of everybody's time. Go on.
You want to talk about a waste of time? Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. We had this thing.
God, bro. This was awful.
It was terrible.
Bro, I swear to God, when I was watching this, since serious people can say whatever they want about me. I don't care. I know me. Bro, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking that if I was sitting in a creative meeting and somebody was pitching this, including Vince McMahon, I would be sitting there saying, really? Like that in your mind, that's good? That's really what you want to do here with probably the 2 biggest stars on the show. That's how they're going to be represented this week? Really? I can't even fathom. I can't begin to fathom what goes through the mind of Vince McMahon. I totally can't.
I hate it because for the last month and a half, or the first really 2 months since WrestleMania, Roman Reigns was not necessarily booked as a babyface. He was booked as a guy who wanted to hold on to the championship and had confidence in himself. This was him being booked as a babyface because it was Seth Rollins running, then coming back and running and all this stuff. And this was bad.
Well, bro, not only that, Sean, let's not have a short memory. Let's not forget that Roman Reigns had Seth Rollins in the ring last week and did nothing. Let's not forget that. So he did nothing to him. So because he did nothing to him, he had to call him back out to the ring this week. That's just, oh my God, bro, it's so piss poor. It's not even funny.
I will go as far as to say that the first 90 minutes of this show were probably the worst, most boring 90 minutes of a 3-hour Raw I've ever seen. That's how far I would go. That's how much I disliked this first 90 minutes. Didn't help that at 9 p.m. I knew the Warriors and the Thunder in a big Game 7 were rolling around. So I was almost bitter that I had to watch Raw through that situation. And what they provided didn't help it. Like, this isn't the Raw that I remember. The Raw that was trying to be the most compelling show on TV. The Raw that was like, you know what? Screw the NBA.
Yep.
We're going to do this.
Yep.
The Raw that after the NBA had a giant brawl, they did this vignette with Shelton Benjamin and Trish Stratus and Vince McMahon where they completely crapped on the NBA and the NFL, and they were like, we're the show to watch. We know you like that violence. We know you like this fun. Come watch us. Don't worry about them if they're going to act like they're too good for it. That's the kind of Raw that I miss, and we're not getting that. We definitely didn't get that tonight.
No.
We got this promo for this Hatch thing that WWE has been teasing all weekend. As it turns out, it was Bill Goldberg. He's going to be in the new WWE 2K17 game. Now, normally, I'd be like, no big deal. But the last 2 times this has happened, it was with Sting and the Ultimate Warrior. 2 guys who had not associated with the WWE for well over a decade. Warrior went into the Hall of Fame. Sting would later work a couple matches. You think there's any chance of Goldberg coming back to work a match or maybe a Hall of Fame induction?
Bro, who cares? Like, honestly, Sean, is it going to matter? Like, at this point, is it going to matter? Like, who cares? I hope Goldberg does come back. I hope Goldberg gets a huge payday. I hope the WWE universe has something they could talk about, okay? So I really hope, for Goldberg's sake, for the WWE's sake, Goldberg comes back. Is it going to mean anything? No. So who cares? I don't care. Who cares, bro? Who cares?
Well, there were some Suplex City teases on his Twitter, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
God, yeah.
Well, that was one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history, Lesnar versus Goldberg, and one of the most hyped up matches. Now, granted, different circumstances, but I mean, we've seen heard Goldberg talk in a million interviews. He's not that interested in putting anybody over. He's not. He wants to wrestle so his kids can see him. That's about it.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for that. So for all the reasons that he wants to come back, I hope he does. But if anybody thinks it's going to matter, it's not.
Correct. Also, speaking of not mattering, Zack Ryder versus Rusev. Rusev won.
Just go.
Yep.
Fast forward. Go. Well, Lana looked hot. Lana had her hair down. Lana looked hot.
Lana did look hot. Titus O'Neil came out.
Yeah.
I mean, good for him. I'm glad
I'm glad he's getting an opportunity. I'm with you, Sean. I'm glad he's getting an opportunity after all that BS that he went through. I'm glad he's getting an opportunity.
I agree. He was fired up. So it looks like Rusev and Titus. I would imagine this is going to be a short-term program.
Yeah,
Vince.
But I'm okay with that. I like Titus. I like what he stands up for. I'm glad he's getting an opportunity, and I like Rusev.
The Shining Stars did a green-screened vignette. Now, keep in mind, this is the third incarnation of this team that we have seen since their debut like 6-7 years ago. It's doing anything for you?
No, I'm looking for what's next.
How would you repackage?
I wouldn't. They would not be on the show. They would not be on the show, bro. I don't know if it's some arrangement they have. Where did these guys work at AAA or something? I don't know. They're
related to Carlos.
Yeah,
Colon.
I don't know if there's some kind of business. These guys would not be on the show at all. Period. Next, what's next?
It doesn't get any better, Vince. Keep in mind, I think we're 15 minutes into the show and we've covered like the first 80 minutes. So we see a bunch of people talking about the Charlotte Ric Flair thing. Yeah. And Stephanie McMahon goes off on Charlotte for disrespecting Ric Flair. Now, I just let me start. Why in the hell would Stephanie McMahon say that after she slapped Ric Flair in the face?
Exactly, bro. She slapped Flair in the face. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like
that. 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Well, we're supposed to forget. We're supposed to forget what happened last week, bro. Yeah. And somebody needs to explain to me how Stephanie ripping Charlotte, how does that get the WWE Women's Champion over? Somebody really needs to explain that to me. You want to get her over? Let her beat the crap out of Stephanie and suspend her. That'll get her over. How that got
her over as babyface, maybe.
Who cares? Who cares, bro?
Just get her over somehow.
Who cares? What that did, somebody has got to smarten me up.
I want to send every single member of this creative team to trendybutler.com because at least they will have some opportunity to get a life and get a shot at the ladies. Because at trendybutler.com, they do all the work for you. You hate shopping? You just want to try something new? Go to trendybutler.com. You create a custom style profile based on your favorite colors, patterns, what you wear, what you don't wear. And Trendy Butler has a stylist pick out your clothes for you and send it to you. $65 a month gets you over $150 worth of designer clothes. Got me over $200 on my first box, including that beautiful cashmere beanie you see on Vince's head. Vince makes some noise so your picture pops up.
There it is, the cashmere beanie, everybody.
It is soft as hell. But you can use the code WRESTLING10, all caps, save $10 on your first order. TrendyButler.com, fantastic service. Please tweet them, let them know that we sent you. This show sucked. One bright shining light on this show continues to be Enzo Amore and Big Cass.
Of course. They're not. They shouldn't need. Bro. You remember the old Sesame Street, bro, when they had the 4 things like what doesn't belong. They had like an elephant, a gorilla, a lion, and an apple. And it's like, what doesn't belong in this picture? And the kids knew it was the apple. These guys are so much better than the whole rest of the show. Like, it doesn't eat. They do not belong. They should not be on this show. They are so heads and tails above every other act on this show. It's not even funny, bro. It's like they don't fit.
And as I mentioned, they already have the, their whole spiel that's over. And Big Cass added another thing. They basically took the Stone Cold Steve Austin what and turned it into how you doing.
And I think you said that last week, Sean. Give yourself credit. Take credit for that. I think you said that last week, bro.
Yeah, I said it at whatever pay-per-view he was on.
You said it, but I remember you said that. Take credit for that, bro. Pat yourself on the back.
There we go. I'll do the old Barry Horowitz.
Yeah.
These two beat the Dudley Boys clean. Fine match. Good. Probably top 2 segment on the show, in my opinion. Probably first or probably the second best thing, I thought. Don't know where they go from here. Ideally, I mean, you would want to do Enzo and Cass versus the Vaudevillains because you would think that would be the hot angle coming out of the show anyway, because they are the ones that, kind of put Enzo on the shelf, right?
Yep. But we're supposed to, bro, don't you understand the pattern here that you're supposed to forget everything that happened? We're supposed to forget Stephanie slapped Flair. We're supposed to forget Reigns had Seth Rollins in the ring last week and did nothing, so we had to call him out again. And we're supposed to forget that Enzo got the concussion in the match with the Vaudevillains. So just forget all that. And we're supposed to forget Owens had a big victory over AJ Styles last week. So it was right for him to do the job this week.
Apparently, we're also supposed to forget that there's a 7th person in this Money in the Bank match, or at least they hyped that all last week because there was no mention of it tonight.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Zayn, Cesaro, and Ambrose are backstage. Ambrose is explaining that the other team is ridiculous because 2 of them are Canadians. The whole gag was that Sami Zayn is a Canadian. Ooh. That was cute.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hoo-hoo.
Yeah. I saw a lot worse on this show, I'll say that. John Cena comes out, makes his return, big pop, cuts a passionate Memorial Day promo, and then AJ Styles comes out initially to crickets, which is no surprise because he lost clean to Kevin Owens.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. But luckily, AJ Styles is so over with the crowd, at least, that they cared. And they started the big Styles Cena chant. I got to give the crowd some credit, Vince. After the first hour and a half of what they saw, the fact that they were loud enough and cared enough about this to even make noise, hats off to them.
Bro, do you really think it's smart at this juncture with the way the crowds are getting at wrestling events? Do you really think it's a smart decision at this juncture to give a crowd that type of television time? Do you really think that's a smart decision?
I don't.
I mean, bro, like, are you freaking kidding me, bro? Like, are you, like that went on forever. Bro, there is no way a television viewer like me, not an IWC Nimrod, somebody like me that is watching television, bro, I changed. I flipped out of that. I got it. Half of them are chanting for AJ, half of them are chanting for Cena. I got it after about a minute. I did not need 4 minutes of that. And
it wasn't 4 minutes.
It was, bro. It literally was. And I have no idea why do you give the crowd that type of television time? And, bro, here's another thing, bro. Not for anything. We're going to go Cena's promo was great. Then we've got the big swerve. Bro, explain this to me, Sean. We're going to swerve John Cena in a program that means nothing, but we weren't going to swerve Roman Reigns with the WWE Championship on the line.
And you weren't going to swerve Kevin Owens last week when you could have gotten in a damn Money in the Bank match.
I mean, like seriously, bro. Like, I mean, seriously? I mean, seriously. And bro,
why would these three give a single shit about Kevin Owens and his feelings? This could have meant that AJ Styles was in the Money in the Bank last week.
Bro, I don't. That's why somebody from their company needs to call me and just tell me before I come on the show every week, what am I putting over? What did you do on this show that you thought was absolutely genius that Vince and Sean had to come on here and put it over? Tell us what it was, and we'll be happy to put it over. But they're going to swerve Cena, but they're not going to swerve Reigns with the title on the line, and they're not going to swerve Owens to get another shot at the title. They're going to swerve Cena in a program that means absolutely nothing. Okay, I got it.
The club came out. Yada, yada, they talked. AJ Styles and the club attacked John Cena, did the big swerve. I did enjoy this segment despite all of the gaping giant holes in just common sense that were placed around it, especially now that we really delved into it. Like, were they plotting to beat up John Cena this whole time?
Well, bro, what about AJ talking about being the future? Like, are we supposed to ignore AJ's 38, whatever the freak he is? Like, are we just the only people watching this show are wrestling fans, and all wrestling, they know AJ, the people watching this show, they know AJ's a 38-year-old guy that has been around forever. Why? If that's Big Kaz in there, I get it. I understand. That is your future. AJ's 38 freaking years. Is AJ probably just as old as Cena, no?
I think he's older. Pretty sure he's older. New by WWE standards, I suppose. Natalya versus Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke won. She is on some kind of hot streak, at least on the main roster, has beaten Natalya, Paige, Becky Lynch twice. Her and Charlotte beat down Natalya after the match, which brings out Becky Lynch to make the save. And I set that up because Charlotte, the women's champion, and Dana Brooke they have incapacitated Charlotte. So the two of them run away from Becky Lynch, whom Dana Brooke has beaten twice already. Why is she afraid?
Well,
is there a reason?
Sure, not only that. Stephanie McMahon cut off Charlotte's nutsack earlier in the show. Okay? Now the champion, listen, bro, and you said this last week too, Sean. I'm giving you credit. I don't forget things that you said. You said maybe Dane is the Arn Anderson and maybe they're going the whole way of the Four Horsemen gimmick. But the way they laid it out tonight, the champion is playing second banana to Dana Brooks. Charlotte's following out Dana, who's wrestling. Charlotte is supposed to be the star. She's the women's champion. Stephanie buried her, and now she's playing second fiddle to Dana Brooks. Listen, if they're going for women, I get it, but there's a right way to do it. You don't want to make Charlotte look like a second banana, and that's what it looked like.
Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler in a technical wrestling match. Dolph Ziggler had a mouthpiece and headgear, which I thought was kind of funny. And then he kicked Corbin right in the balls.
Yeah, this was probably the best thing on the show.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. This was probably the best thing on the show far and away.
And Baron Corbin or Dolph Ziggler said that he's been disqualified, but Corbin is the loser. I like that. Yeah, I like that. It was short. It was sweet. It accomplished something. I hate that this feud's going to continue.
Yeah.
But this is the best thing that's happened in the feud.
I think it's cool if it continues and they go with this Ziggler. I think it would be cool. I would love to see this Ziggler. I just don't have the confidence that Vince McMahon knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he desperately needs a persona change. And if that's it, cool, whatever. Make him a little more relevant again. No better time for him to become relevant again than this with this brand split looming. We come back and get a video from Maurice. She introduces The Miz. He is filming the Marine 5 Battleground. Now, did you hear about the people who are in this movie?
Do I want to?
Oh my God. Let me pull it up. Okay, well, The Miz, obviously. Naomi. Do you remember that feud that The Miz had with the Usos? Where The Miz was telling
Naomi,
telling Naomi to get her to the movies. He came through.
Got her in the movie. Nice.
He got her in the movie. So the Usos are a bunch of douchebags. They tried to hinder her career. Let me pull this up. This is too good. Well, I know Heath Slater, Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, The Miz, and Naomi, and I think there is one more. I think Maurice might be in it as well. She's in it. So, yeah, that's your cast. The Marine Five.
Bro, how honestly, I'm being dead serious. How did we get to who's watching this that there's a Marine 5?
I don't know.
I mean,
I have no idea.
I can't even imagine like anybody. I don't care who you are, bro. If you listen, I know Cena was in Marine 1. I get it. If you watched Marine 2, 3, 4, you really kind of need to reevaluate your life, bro. And anybody who watched Marine 2, 3, and 4, bro.
I have several sealed review copies that sit on a shelf collecting dust.
I mean,
they have not been cracked open.
There definitely is something wrong with you, bro. Like I hate to break the news to everybody.
No, they send them to me. I don't pay.
No, not you. I'm saying people that watched it. If somebody literally rented this and watched it, something is wrong.
They've had a couple of movies that performed well. There was a Halle Berry movie, The Call, but that's because Halle Berry was in it, right. And I think the chick from Zombieland, the little girl from Zombieland, was in it. I thought that was a good flick, except for the ridiculous, stupid ending. Yeah. They've had a couple of movies that were okay. The Legendary was good. John Cena was in it. Ironically, he played an amateur wrestling coach. But yeah, there's a couple. But the Marine 5 ain't going to be one of them.
No.
Kevin Owens is backstage, argues with Del Rio and Jericho. You know, it's setting up the 6-man. We had the 6-man. Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Dean Ambrose won. There's nothing really, they're just killing time till this ladder match. More power to these 6 guys. Thought it was a fine match. It was an inconsequential match.
Yep.
Vince, we just got through Raw in, I think, 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah, well, again, we talk about it every week. What are the stakes to this match? What does it matter who wins this match? Who cares? Why should I care about who wins this match? Like, I mean, who cares? The whole show was a big who cares. I mean, literally from beginning to end, it was a big who cares.
What would you rate the show
0.
on a scale?
0, bro. They're lucky I don't put it in the negative.
I was going to put it at a -1. Yeah. The Ziggler thing, I enjoyed. If there was nothing on the show, I would go into negative territory. Yeah. But like I said, the Cena Styles thing, I'm sure it'll lead to some cool matches. So I was okay with that. Wasn't okay with all the gaping holes. Enzo and Cass, there hasn't really been anything that they've done that I've not liked so far.
Right. I agree.
So I guess we'll take some questions. Here's the real main event, because I've had people tweeting me all weekend wanting us to talk about this, and I think it's because they think we'll fight.
Don't ask me about this Vader gimmick because I'm saving that for podcast 1.
How dare you, Vince?
Bro. I have a lot to. I have a lot to say about that, and it's going to be on podcast 1 this week.
Well, I'll talk about it then. Maybe I can lure you. Big Van Vader had said some things. Like he said that he based it on about a 10-second GIF. It was a Ricochet and Will Ospreay. They both went for handspring elbows, a move done since the Great Muta days, probably well before that. And they did kind of a face-off when they realized that they were both going for it. This was a good match. And if you watch 10 seconds of it, I could see how anybody would think, oh, this is ridiculous, flippy stuff. These two guys, and Will Ospreay is especially fantastic at making sure that when he does a flip or he does a roll or he does a spin, that it means something, that he's countering something, that he's setting up something, that he's selling something, that he is trying to deceive his opponent, kind of like a capoeira kick in MMA. Sort of like, how Superman punches are set up. They're flashy moves, but they're used to set things up. I had people saying that it was unrealistic. But then every week on Raw, I am forced to watch every single wrestler sell a rear chin lock, no hooks in, nothing. They just stand there like this. I've been wrestling for 10 years. I don't know how to get out of this. And I'm supposed to believe that. And that's gone on forever. There are a lot of things that aren't realistic. Not every wrestling match is going to be the same, and I don't want every wrestling match to be the same. But if people, and people can like what they want, they can dislike what they want, that's cool. But even when Flair Steamboat was happening, people were saying, this match is too fast-paced, it's unrealistic. Kind of silly to think that now. It's entertainment, you guys. Have fun. What do you think, Vince? Anything?
Well, I'm not going to comment on it, but I will say this. I watched the match. It was like 22 something. I watched the match, and I will say this. And I know Will Ospreay, and I've met Ricochet, and he was very nice to me at Lucha Underground. These guys were far and away crisper and tighter and cleaner than anybody I see doing that same style on the WWE.
Anybody. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Anybody.
It's crazy to think that they passed on Ricochet.
I agree. I would give these two guys in that style of wrestling, I would give these guys a 10. And the most, after seeing that match, the most I would give Zayn and Owens for that style of match is a 6. Compared to these two guys. So then I ask myself the question, why the heck are Zayn and Owens on TV and not these two guys?
Well, I mean,
if that's the style of match you want.
It's still a different style. I mean, Zayn and Owens are nowhere near as athletic as Ricochet and Ospreay. These are the two best guys at this, in my opinion. I'm sure somebody will say some other person who hasn't made it on a bigger stage, but Ricochet's doing it on 2 stages right now. I thought they did great. There were a couple of spots. I thought that Ricochet's little roll into a DDT, that wasn't necessary, but if I'm picking out one little flip out of all the things that they did, there were a couple times when I thought they could have sold a little more. But if the complaint is that they didn't sell enough and that makes it unrealistic, I wonder how many MMA fights people have watched. Because if you sell something in an MMA fight, which is completely realistic, you're going to get your ass kicked and knocked out immediately. There's a lot of different aspects that go into this.
Bro, here's the problem. And I've said this a million times, and I'm just going to give you a little tidbit of what I'm going to talk about on podcast 1. I'm just going to tell you.
Just a little tidbit.
Here's what people like me and people like Vader have a problem with. Don't label this professional wrestling because it's not. This is not professional wrestling. This is an exhibition. That's the problem that people like me and Vader and millions of others who no longer watch the WWE have. Don't call what they're doing professional wrestling because it's not. And you know what? It's the same thing as you're a big MMA guy, Sean, right? You're a big MMA. You know what, bro? Say 10 years from now in MMA, all of a sudden the guys started using the cage as a weapon. And they're running guys into the cage head first. And that
happens.
Well, and say they start jumping off the top of the cage. Okay?
Well, they can't do that. That's illegal.
Okay, right. But say it started happening in 10 years. People who had been MMA fans over all that time, you know what they would turn around and say? This isn't MMA. If all of a sudden that sport changed, people would start saying, wait a minute, this isn't MMA.
Well, this sport has changed. They took soccer kicks out, and a lot of people didn't like that.
Okay.
They took knees to the head on the ground out. A lot of people didn't like that.
Right, but they didn't change. In wrestling, bro, they've changed the very foundation of what professional wrestling is. That's the issue. So call it something else and nobody will have a problem with it, but it's not professional wrestling. And that's why, bro, that's why Monday night has gone from 10 million to 3 million. Because there's 7 million in between that really, really like professional wrestling. And they could spin it all they want with DVRs and tabloids and phones and spin it any way you want. They like to say they evolved it. Great, guys. You evolved it. You did a great job evolving it. Unfortunately, you're evolving it, didn't evolve it for the better because you've lost.
People used to say this about Shawn Michaels. People used to think
it doesn't matter what they said because what people say doesn't matter, Sean. All that matters is the numbers. And Shawn Michaels was doing what he was doing, and the audience was growing every week. So it didn't matter what they were saying. If the numbers were going in the other way now, I'd be the moron. And I'd admit to being in a moron. But the numbers are drastically going the other way week after week after week, bro.
What about when Shawn Michaels was on top and Raw was losing to Nitro every week? I mean, there were people saying that.
I would say Freddie Joe Floyd and the Goon and TL Hopper had a little something to do with that, Sean, with all due respect. And Mantaw maybe played a hand in that. I mean,
that was about a year earlier, but yeah, I would agree. Bro. But I mean, so who's to say that the people that are, that you criticize in WWE, who's to say that they're responsible for the low numbers now, and not the social outcasts or some of the other like Breezango.
I'm not saying individuals are responsible. I'm saying they changed the very foundation of professional wrestling. That's a company-wide decision. Kevin Owens didn't make that decision. Sami Zayn didn't make that decision. That's a company. That's a Vince McMahon decision.
So my question is, what makes some of the things that are done, whether it's by Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Ricochet or Will Ospreay, more unbelievable than some of the things we see in every match? Like I mentioned, a guy who is supposed to be one of the best of the best of the best pro wrestlers in the world, not being able to break out of a rear chin lock for like a minute and a half. Now, keep in mind, Vince, in reality, if this is based on what we believe and believability and realism, if somebody walked into our gym, and Vince, my gym is a catch wrestling gym. You know who Billy Robinson is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. My guys were trained by Billy Robinson. You don't get much more legit than that when it comes to real moves working in pro wrestling. If somebody came into our gym and they were put in a rear chin lock, no hooks in, no body scissors, not under the neck, no choke, just a chin lock like this, and they sat in it for a minute and a half and couldn't get out, even on like their first or second day, they'd probably never want to come back or they'd be laughed out of the gym. Not because like our gym's full of bullies or anything. It's just, it ain't hard to figure out how to get out of that. But every week we are shown a guy sitting in that for 90 seconds at least.
Sure,
that's unbelievable.
Let me ask you this question. This is honestly, and listen, I like Will and Ricochet. I'm fans of theirs. My issue is it's not professional wrestling. And if you say it is, that's where the heat's going to come. But Sean, let me just say this, bro. This is the measuring stick for me. I sat there and watched that whole match for 22 minutes, and I, like everybody else, I'm like, these guys are the athleticism of these two guys is like unreal. It was unbelievable. And the sharpness of the move, I mean, just unbelievable. But I got to tell you how I felt throughout the entire match. And how I felt, Sean? I didn't feel like anybody was trying to win the match. I felt like it was an exhibition. And the very root of professional wrestling is you're supposed to be trying to win the match the minute the bell rings.
Oh, I
agree. We
mean,
lose a lot of that with this kind of style, Sean. We lose a lot of it.
They didn't apply submissions. They didn't pin when the shoulders were down. That's one of my things. If I get livid when I see somebody on any level knock somebody to the mat and the person stays flat on their back and you don't try to pin them.
Right.
That's the whole point of the damn match.
Right.
You pin the person's shoulders to the mat. Doesn't matter if you and they fall over, you pin them. Their shoulders are on the mat, you pin them. I mean, they did that. Yeah.
I mean, Sean, again, I'm going to say with Zayn again tonight. Bro, when you look at the back up to the rope and do a somersault over the top rope to take out guys that are standing on the outside, let's just look at that, bro. Let's just look at that right there. First of all, you can't win a match by beating your opponents on the outside of the ring. You need to, and how many times old school do the wrestlers go out and throw their opponents back in the ring? That's why you've got to beat them in the ring. And on top of that, bro, listen, on top of that, if you're in charge of the match, honestly, bro, are you really going to do an insane move like that and risk yourself getting injured? No, you're not. So, none of that makes any sense, bro. That's why 7 million traditional professional wrestling fans are no longer watching on Monday night.
I don't know if dives to the outside or why.
That's one of the things. I use that as an example, bro.
That happened all the time.
No, it did not. No,
yes, it did.
Who did that, bro, back then? Nobody did that during the Attitude Era.
Shawn Michaels
did that.
No,
he did not.
Yes, he did.
Sean, you're full of crap because I'm sitting here watching him during the Attitude Era every week. He's never done it once. I've never seen Sean do that.
Shawn Michaels literally did it in the Iron Man match against Bret Hart. He dove to the outside onto Bret Hart.
First of all, we see this 3-4 times a week. I've been sitting here doing the Attitude. I've covered the last 6 months. I've not seen Shawn Michaels do that one time.
I'll send you the video of it.
All right, one video. Okay, maybe he did it once, Sean. He didn't do it 4 times a week.
I'll send it to you plenty. I agree. It's done way too much. I think that if something like that happens, if you got a numbers game, if it's Roman Reigns against the club and the club keeps getting involved and he's like, screw these guys, I'm going to take them all out, then it makes a little more sense. But I don't think that's the reason why 7 million people tuned out.
That was an example. And you keep piling, moves like that on top of each other, no selling, not trying to win the match. People like me are sitting at home and this is what they're saying. This isn't wrestling. I'm going to watch something. I don't like this. I don't like what they're doing. Okay, and then these guys will talk about evolving. Keep evolving, bro. Keep evolving. We've evolved from 10 million people to 3 million people. Keep evolving. Let's get it down to 2 million. Let's get it down to 1 million. Keep evolving it, bro. If your idea of evolving wrestling is losing viewers and losing customers, then you've got deeper problems than I thought.
Well, I know one thing we can agree on. The business will evolve as long as ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc is around. ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. Go there, get a great deal in the Max Pack, used by AJ Styles, John Cena. Vince Russo's favorite, Sami Zayn, uses it now. And you can also check out, myself and Raj did an interview with DDP on last Thursday's Wrestling Inc. Live. We talked about a lot of stuff about him almost leaving WCW at one point early on, not early on in his career, but around 96-ish, where he was considering leaving. We talked about the brand split, all kinds of stuff. You can see how DDP Yoga helped out Jake the Snake Roberts and the resurrection of Jake the Snake, now available on Vudu, Amazon, Google Play, PlayStation Network, iTunes, video on demand everywhere. Also on Blu-ray, you can go to the ddpyoga.com, use the code WINC, save yourself 10%. Tweet DDP and DDP Yoga. Let them know the Wrestling Inc. podcast sent you. That was a good discussion, Vince. I like that.
Yeah. Well, all I know is tomorrow when we start hearing the NBA game did this and the NHL game did this. Let me quote the great Vince McMahon when I was sitting with him in his living room. And the ratings came in, and we were head-to-head at that time with NBA playoffs. Let me quote the great Vince McMahon when he looked me in the eye And what the great and mighty Vince McMahon said to me was, Vince, if it's good, they will watch it. So
I
tomorrow, when the number comes in and nobody watched Raw because, there were other things on TV that were better, they didn't watch it because it wasn't good.
Meanwhile, the Warriors came back from a 3-1 deficit.
There you go.
Yep. Couple questions we'll get to. Thoughts on the Rollins boring chants? Well, the segment was boring.
That was horrible. That's not Rollins' fault, bro. That was atrocious. Bro, literally, if I was in the writer's room, I would have not let that happen. That segment would not have happened. I would have sat there. I would have argued with Vince. I would have told him it was atrocious and it sucked. It would not have happened. And that's not the fault of the talent.
Yeah, it was a miserable segment. Let's see.
And, bro, isn't the whole idea that Seth wants the title back? He didn't lose?
Yeah.
And why is he running from Reigns?
Because all of the heels have to be scared, I guess. I don't know.
So bad, bro. So bad.
It's weird. Like I mentioned last week, Anderson Silva was one of the biggest heels in MMA, and he was one of the baddest dudes in MMA, too. The thing was, he just knew it. He knew it. What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
What can save Raw next week?
It being preempted by the Westminster Dog Show. That'll save it, bro. And I swear to God, at this point, Sean, I'd rather watch the Dog Show than Raw. I'm not kidding you, bro. I'd rather watch the Dog Show.
Hey, they had an ad did you see the ad for that Shooter show based on the Mark Wahlberg movie?
No.
I liked that movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Have you ever seen that movie?
No, I have not.
It's fun flick. Let's see. Trying to find these questions, but they're all pretty much the same. Raw sucked. Somebody says, here's the thing about Russo and Vader's issues. Ooh. Ed the Strangler Lewis and his generation had the same problem with the San Martinos. San Martino had the same problem with Hogan. Imagine what Lewis would think of Austin or Rock, or even Cena and Rollins. Any thoughts, Vince?
It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. The numbers matter. Period. End of story. The numbers are the masses speaking. Not Vader, not Vince, not Ricochet, not Regal. The numbers are the masses speaking. That's all that matters, bro. So if Bruno was complaining about Hogan and the numbers were going down, then what he was saying was legitimate. Unfortunately for Bruno, the numbers were going through the roof with Hogan. So what he didn't like, the masses liked. The masses don't like what they're watching right now.
Can't disagree with that. Somebody says, would you rather watch bad Raws over and over again or the Marine box set?
Oh,
and you know what? I'll answer this one. The Marine box set, because the first one has, was it Robert Patrick? Whoever played T-1000 in the Terminator 2 movie.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there hot chicks in the franchise? If there's hot chicks, I'd watch the Marine shows.
Well, I guess Maurice is in number 5. She's hot.
Okay, so
And
yeah,
Naomi.
then I'd watch Marine.
There we go. With this insanely horrible Raw, do you think the brand split will make anything better?
I just
don't
know how that would be possible. I just don't know how that would be possible. Hey, bro, maybe it'll be better. I just don't know how. I mean, if you do the math, it won't be, but who knows?
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, Vince, please tell them about the brand.
Bro, you know who I got on podcast 1 tomorrow? And
Damian Sandow?
Bro, can I ask you a question? How is Golden Truth on TV every
I don't know.
week? And Damian Sandow is not working for the WWE. How does that happen?
I asked the same thing. You got Damian Sandow released, Wade Barrett and Cody Rhodes walking away, and the WWE could have used these 3 more than ever in about a month and a half.
Yeah. Well,
Weird.
anyway, tomorrow I'm on podcast 1 5 days a week. Tomorrow I have the first part of my interview with Damian Sandow, which I just did. I think we did it on Friday. So like it's really, really fresh. Just check out podcast1.com. Check out my all the information's on my website, russosbrand.com. You could see the Damian Sandow video by signing up to the Realm Network. It's only 75 cents a week. You can join on russosbrand.com.
Also, myself, Vince, Wrestling Inc., we're all on Pro Wrestling Tees. Go there and check that out.
Yep.
ddpyoga.com/Wrestling Inc., The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, trendybutler.com. Use the code Wrestling10, all caps. You can see it in my crudely written chalkboard back there, you guys. Until next time, we are out.